So, are online MFT programs as sketchy as they seem? Let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Carrie Wiita, and I am the application coach at MFT California. And for this series of videos, I've teamed up with folks over at Sentio Institute to answer some of the questions that I get most often about applying to MFT programs. I get a lot of questions about online programs. Most people seem to be a little suspicious. Usually, online programs cost about the same as an in-person program, but they offer the flexibility of taking classes from home at your own schedule. No commuting? What's not to love? Online programs are sometimes the only option for people looking to get their MFT degree, especially if you live in a rural area or have work or family obligations that prevent you from having a normal school schedule. But should you do an online program? Are they totally sketchy? Let's start by looking at the skepticism that many people have about online programs. Prior to COVID, I think a lot of people had a lot of skepticism about online learning, especially for a very in-person, interpersonal, relational skill like counseling. However, the fact that during lockdown, not a single MFT program I know shut down, they just all transitioned to online learning, that really says to me that actually, people think you can get a just fine education online to be a therapist. So it's true, you might encounter some folks in the field who have a stigma against online programs. But the reality is, online learning works, even for therapy. Additionally, the field has experienced a huge shift from therapy being pretty much only an in-person thing to this explosion in telehealth or doing therapy online. It may end up being that online training to become an MFT better prepares you to work in the new online world of telehealth. Research hasn't been done yet, but it'll be interesting to see where that goes. So I actually think one of the biggest reasons that online programs get such a reputation for being sketchy is because of the marketing approaches they use. You've probably noticed that a lot of MFT programs, online and in person, encourage you to give them their email address to get more information. And then as soon as you do, you get a barrage of emails to your inbox and maybe even a ton of phone calls from an admissions specialist encouraging you to enroll. This is a pretty common marketing technique. If you've ever bought anything online, you know that this happens, and it happens because it works. But it feels weird coming from a school. We don't normally associate educational institutions with marketing techniques and advertising. But the reality is, higher education is a business. Some programs are specifically for profit. They are exactly that, a business. But even nonprofit organizations need to keep enrolling students just to keep the doors open. And the way they do that is by marketing and advertising. You can read more about this topic over on the blog that I posted at mftcalifornia.com. But bottom line, just because this marketing approach kind of feels icky, it doesn't necessarily say anything about the quality of the program. All that being said, there are some disadvantages to online programs that you need to weigh against the considerable advantage of flexibility and convenience. First of all, this field is a very networking-heavy, word-of-mouth based field. The good jobs often don't get posted to Indeed or Monster.com. You get them by having someone familiar with your work hire you directly, or by a colleague referring you for a position, or colleagues referring clients to you directly in private practice. It can be super isolating in an online program and really hard to build your professional network. A good online program should address this issue head-on and be able to tell you some steps they've taken to ensure that you're able to start building your professional network while you're still in your graduate program. If they don't, it's going to be up to you, and I highly encourage you to be very proactive about this. You don't want to wait until graduation to start building your network. If you do, you might get out of school and not be able to find a good job, or if you're going right into private practice, have a really hard time getting clients without those really important referrals. Similarly, another disadvantage is the ability to just kind of put in your bare minimum in an online program. If you're going to an in-person program, at the very least, the threat of getting called on in class is going to have you stay engaged. If you end up doing an online program, make sure that you're making a conscious effort to improve your knowledge and work on your counseling skills outside of class. Sentio Institute has made available a ton of free resources that are designed to help you with exactly this issue. They're great for if you're in an in-person program, but really, really helpful if you're in an online program. Finally, another disadvantage of online programs is the often total lack of support that online programs can have around getting a field site or a practicum placement. While you're in school, you're going to need to complete a certain number of client hours while you're in school before you graduate. In MFT programs, those hours do count towards the 3,000 hours you need to become licensed in the state of California. You'll need to get somewhere between 225 and 700 client hours while you're in your program, depending on what the program requires. In some programs, 200 of those hours may need to be what's called relational. And that means it's not just therapy with one person, it's therapy with at least two people, could be more, at the same time in the room together. And those people need to be in the same family system. So it could be a couple or a mother and child. These hours can be tough to get because not as many couples and families are seeking out counseling, especially from trainees, as are individuals. So a practicum or field site needs to be prepared to be able to get you those hours if you're in one of those programs that requires relational hours. Usually, MFT programs that are in person either have a counseling site on campus that all students just automatically go to, or they have established relationships with other practicum or field sites in the local area. These are usually sites where they've sent students to previously in the past, so all the paperwork is set up and the training sites feel comfortable taking students from those programs. Online programs, on the other hand, will often leave it entirely up to the student to find that site for themselves. If you live somewhere like Los Angeles, this shouldn't be too hard. There are a ton of MFT programs in the area and therefore quite a few training sites that are equipped to take on MFT trainees. However, that also means there are a lot of MFT programs trying to secure placements in those sites. Priority might go to programs where they already have established relationships. And if you're going to an online program and your school does not have a relationship with that site, it might be hard for you to get in. Also, if you live in a more rural area, there might not be any training sites nearby at all, which means you might end up commuting after all. If you want to attend an online program, make sure you ask them what kind of support they offer students around securing a field site or a practicum placement. If they tell you they can't give you a list or they can't really help you with that, make sure you do your own research before deciding to enroll. Try Googling low-cost community clinics or mental health services training sites in the area, and you can email or call them and ask if they have a training program set up, if they tend to take MFT trainees from local programs. If you can figure out some options about where to get your hours done before you enroll in an online program, you'll be in good shape. If you can't figure that out before enrolling and your program's offering you zero support in finding a site, you might end up with a real problem a couple years into your program. So, bottom line, online programs are not bad programs just by virtue of being an online program. But there are several important issues that you'll want to consider before deciding to get your MFT degree at one of them. I hope this video has been helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and let me know if you have any ideas of other videos you would like to see me make, any other questions you might have that I could help answer. Don't forget to check out the Sentio Institute's website, we'll have the link in the description, to download some of those free resources. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.